Good evening, folks. I'd like to get started, please. No? Test, test, no? What happened?
I hear it, but lightly. You're good.
Can you hear me now? Okay, thank you. Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for attending. Pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-10, adequate notice of this meeting has been provided by advertising such notice in the Home News Tribune, the Asbury Park Press, the Board Office, the schools, and on Cablevision Channel 118, and Verizon Fios Channel 24, and by filing such notice with the Township Clerk. This meeting was scheduled for Tuesday, January 17th, 2017. The Board will take formal action on payment of bills and other agenda items. Mr. Mara?
The Old Bridge Township Board of Education acknowledges that the law of this state establishes that members of the public, including members of the board, have the right to record public board meetings using audio or video recording devices, provided that that act of recording does not interfere with the business of this public board meeting. Therefore, the board makes it known that any such recording is to be considered the private recording of the individual and in no manner represents the official record of this board. The board therefore takes no responsibility for such private recording and completely disavows any future use.
Thank you, Mr. Mara. Roll call, please.
Andriani?
Present.
Callie?
Present.
Dunn?
Here.
Dinoff?
Present.
Ellis Foster?
Here.
Reed?
Here.
Singh?
Here.
Weber? DePrima?
Here.
Quorum exists.
Can we all please rise for the pledge?
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If everybody can remain standing, please, for a moment. Move the board acknowledge the death of Robert Greenway, retired police officer and Old Bridge Board of Education bus driver, and express our deepest sympathy to his family and friends. Thank you, everyone. Mrs. Callie, I believe you volunteered to read the Code of Ethics?
I did. The highlight of the month for the Code of Ethics is carry out his or her responsibility not to administer the schools, but together with fellow board members ensure they are well run.
Thank you. Again, I'm sorry. Welcome, everybody. It's great to see such a nice crowd. Moving on. Approval of minutes. Can I have a motion, please?
Andriani will approve.
Donna. Second?
I'll second.
Oh. Mr. Mara, roll call?
Andriani?
Yes.
Callie?
Yes.
Dunn?
Yes.
Dinoff?
Abstain.
Ellis Foster?
Yes.
Reed?
Yes.
Singh?
Yes.
DePrima?
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Okay, I don't see our student representative here.
I do.
Oh, okay.
I was in contact with Courtney Brennan. She's doing a community activist theater program this evening. So she did send me, as students will do, her notes on text messaging. So she wanted to let me know that clubs are very active right now, and the Sensation is holding their annual celebration on Wednesday after school. They had an alumni day at the beginning of the month, and over 100 students who are alum attended the event. Students are currently visiting the ShopRite in the school and loving it, and we're getting ready for midterms that start next week. She wants to thank everyone so much from the Old Bridge community for their support.
Thank you, Courtney, if you're listening. Okay, the best part of the meeting usually is recognition. Mr. Cittadino, take it away.
Excellent. Thank you very much. This is a meeting that's been long coming. If you look around, you'll see a lot of our Boy Scouts from their troops here, ready to celebrate each other and the achievements of the Boy Scouts. One thing that I'm very proud of in this community is that we embrace the Boy Scouts in their pursuit of their Eagle Scout honors. And it's not hard for us to look around the district and find projects that will enable us to assist them and them to assist us. And I can speak to the project that was done at our administration building. Mr. Anthony Grande did a great job with that, providing a break area for our staff there. So at this time, I'm going to ask all of the Boy Scouts that are being honored tonight to come up to the stage and face the group. So we'll have Anthony Grande, Liam Hack, Matthew Natali, Hugh Bersili, Matthew Fucci, and Nick Mullaney. Please come up and face the group. If I can have Miss Andriani make her way over to the dais to join us. I think just a few words coming from some of the principals or leaders in the district that were affected by the great work of these Eagle Scouts. I know some people couldn't make it here tonight, but others have here a little presentation. I believe Miss Gramata from Cooper School has a little PowerPoint.
Well, I don't know what order we're going in. I'll go last. You'll go last, okay. Again, my usual spiel is anybody that's been coming to meetings or watching it on TV, you know that I don't let this opportunity go past. And first of all, where's all the Eagle Scout moms? Do you have your pins on? Oh. The Scoutmaster that is here, I see one or two adults, several adults. Troop 129, how many Eagle Scouts do you have so far on your charter? Has to be in the 50s. 50, Patty would know. Probably close to 60. I'm in the other big troop as the rank advanced chair, and we're getting close to 60. So just 2 troops in Old Bridge in the last maybe 12 or 13 years, we have close to 120 Eagle Scouts. That's a phenomenal number. This is not something you're given. This is something you achieve. 300 separate requirements, being a project manager, it's not just walking the little old lady across the street. So I am very honored that all of you are here. This is not just badges. This is big-time service project. It's a long time and a commitment. And I'm looking at all the other scouts in uniform. If you're not working on your communications badge, you should start, because one of the requirements is to be at a township meeting. Check that one off. You're here. Okay. Are we going by school? Are we going by people? What are we doing?
We've decided already. Mrs. Fazio's going to go first.
Okay, I will step over.
Ms. Fazio, it's yours.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Sally Fazio. I'm one of the vice principals at Old Bridge High School, and 3 of the 6 gentlemen that are being honored this evening are ours, so I'd like to just briefly honor them. Hugh Bersili, Matt Fucci, and Anthony Grande. As many of you know, the work and commitment that these young men dedicate to achieve the rank of Eagle Scout is extraordinary. But what's even more extraordinary is that these 3 gentlemen gave back to our own Old Bridge High School community. Hugh helped beautify the empty lot of grass on the side of Grissom School, and now students can learn about plant life. Matt Fucci built an outdoor classroom at Cooper School, which affords students a safe and comfortable place to learn, play, and enjoy the outdoors. And Anthony Grande built a floating deck, bench, and fence to help beautify the outdoor picnic area at the administration building, as Mr. Cittadino told us earlier. So, gentlemen, your commitment and dedication to our school community is commendable, and on behalf of the Old Bridge High School administration, I thank you and commend each of you for reaching Eagle Scout.
Next matter.
Good evening. It is with great pleasure I stand here tonight to talk about 2 Eagle Scouts who literally changed the landscape for the John Glenn preschool students and staff, Mr. Matthew Natali and Mr. Liam Hack. Mr. Natali's Eagle Scout project started over 2 years ago. Throughout that time, Matthew never wavered from his vision for his project at the John Glenn School and how it would change the entire entranceway of our building. Matthew created a wonderful flagpole garden in front of the John Glenn School, complete with butcher block border, new shrubbery, and a sitting area to be enjoyed by parents, students, and teachers. By removing worn-out railroad ties and several overgrown trees, Matt has created a well-designed space for staff and students to enjoy for years to come. Congratulations, Matt, on your accomplishment. Mr. Liam Hack's project started approximately 1 year ago. Liam was tenacious in his pursuit of his project at the John Glenn Preschool. Liam worked closely with Mrs. Melanie Minchglass, Supervisor of Special Education, to design and create an outdoor classroom for our students at Glenn Preschool. Complete with picnic tables and multiple learning stations, Liam's project allowed for preschool students at Glenn to work outside during the fall and spring months in an educational environment with access to multi-tiered learning environments and enhanced peer interactions. His excellent work organizing his project, implementing the various steps, and completing an outstanding outdoor classroom for the preschool students at Glenn is greatly appreciated. Thank you, Mr. Hack, on your accomplishment.
Good evening. My name is Kathy Gramada, and I'm the principal at Cooper Elementary School. And I just want to say I'm looking out in the crowd, and I see so many of the familiar faces that have come to help at my building. And for those of you who are thinking, oh, her again? Yes, I have been blessed. I have been blessed to have 4 wonderful projects being done at my building. And tonight I'm going to honor Matt Fucci and Nick Mullaney. I'm going to start first with Matt Fucci, who I had the honor of working with him as a sophomore in English class. And even then, Matt was an impressive young man, straight A student, always came in with a smile, and always had his hand up where no one else did. So thank you, Matt. And then I came on later on to, he came to the school, he was helping another project be developed at my building, and he came over and we started chatting. And he said to me, "What do you need?" And I said, "I don't know." We walked around the building and we came up with the outdoor classroom. I have to say that it has had a tremendous impact on my building. In the summer, I've seen students come there and they'll ride their bikes and they'll sit and they'll have lunch. And on the weekends when I go there, I will see people, weather permitting, drinking their coffee and reading their newspapers. Even at lunch, when certain kids don't want to run around and play, they'll sit there with their coloring books or they'll play a game. It has had such an impact on my building, on my community, on my students, and on my staff. And Matthew, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for picking Cooper. It is an amazing project and has had an impact that I couldn't even put into words. So thank you. Yeah, so we could do that. Wait, can you? Yeah, you could start the loop. Just on the screen is a loop of Matthew's progress of his project, and on the back end is Nick Mullaney. So you could look at some of the pictures as I talk about Nick. Nick was brought to Cooper, again, to kind of talk it over and see what he could do at my building. And in the front of my building, we had a huge landscaping bed that in its day was gorgeous. However, over time, it was a little overgrown. Some of the bushes were growing into the building. We couldn't even see some out of some of the classroom windows. And I gotta tell you, when Nick came to me and said he wanted to do it, I thought, oh my goodness, does he even know what he's about to take on? Nick, what you did probably would have taken most adults years to get done. He organized to get some of the older shrubs taken out. He power washed all those rocks, and some of them needed to be replaced. He diligently met with me time and time to go over the project. And then at one point he said, "Hey, would you want to sign?" And I thought, oh my goodness, yes. Because really you don't know it's my building until you pull into the parking lot because our name is on the side. And we met and we talked about what we wanted on the sign. And I didn't get a chance to see it. I just told him what I thought. And my goodness, what he came up with is beautiful. It's coming up on the next slide. As you can see, it honors us being a National School of Character and really, truly honors the embodiment of what Old Bridge is. We embody, there it is. We embody character, and I gotta tell you, I've had other principals calling, "Where did you get it?" And I won't tell. So honestly, on behalf of Matt's family and friends and sponsors, and Nick's family and friends and sponsors, these things could not have been done without you guys' true dedication and true selflessness for all the students at Cooper. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you for picking Cooper. Thank you.
I have certificates. Boys, I have certificates.
Can you go up there and give them the certificate? Sure. Oh, there you go. Sandriani, all right. So,
I'm sorry. I just have one more thing. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Are you, okay, sorry. Okay. I just need to, at this moment, if you can indulge me for 1 more second, I need to call up AJ Silvestri to the microphone, please.
No, it's okay.
You good?
Hi, I'm AJ Silvestri. I'm a 7th grader at Carl Sandburg Middle School. And thank you for the entire district of Woolbridge for supporting me with the Make-A-Wish Foundation Believe campaign with Macy's. We collected almost 28,000 letters since we brought in the letters on December 7th, which was a special day for Macy's. That translates into over $54,000 for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. Since each wish costs an average of $10,000 according to Make-A-Wish, we helped at least 5 kids get wishes granted by the foundation. A special thanks goes to Mrs. Pachuki and Mrs. Bracken who helped me accomplish this huge number. Also, a big thank you to Mr. Cittadino and Dr. Hoker who helped get the entire district involved. It really is terrible for me to be sick with cystic fibrosis, but with Woolbridge supporting me, it is a lot easier. And I have something for Dr. Hoker and Mr. Cittadino. Mr. Cittadino.
Thank you very much.
And Dr. Hoker. Here you go.
Thank you, buddy. Thank you very much. Okay, so I could just have those Boy Scouts there. Does anybody need a badge? Oh, you're back, AJ. Okay. Oh. I'll step aside for you to steal the show anytime. If I can have 2 more Boy Scouts come up. Just 2 more, just 2 volunteers. All right.
Come on.
Someone's watching.
Let's
Come on,
start
come on,
it.
come on.
Let's go,
Go ahead, 2 more. There you go. 1, 2. There. Oh, there. Go, 2. That's 2. Okay. I just need 2. You're the cameraman. You got to sit there and watch. All right. So later on in the venue, I have a need for this to come on, but I want the bulk of the audience to be here. January is this is the 14th annual time that the New Jersey School Boards recognizes January as New Jersey School Boards Month. And last week, I was together with my board and we're starting the strategic planning process. And we're talking about some of the accomplishments we've had in the past and the many accomplishments we look to have in the future. And I said for that to happen, I need this board to be the Old Bridge Dream Team. And they said they would be. So I would like our Boy Scouts to help me out one more time. I have packages here for each board member. Can you present them to them? What's one each? Has their names on it. It's pretty simple.
Can we open them? Mr. Cittadino, can we open?
Before we do the roll call, boys, congratulations. Donna, thank you. You're the on-board scouting expert. And AJ, I happen to live up the block from AJ. It's my honor to be your neighbor. Thank you for everything. Okay, move the board, recognize the Boy Scouts. Mr. Mayor, I'm sorry, motion, please?
Andriani will make the motion.
Very fitting. Donna,
I will
second.
second.
Kelly, Mr. Mara, roll call.
Natale,
Yes.
Dunn,
Absolutely, yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
As a proud Eagle Scout mom, sporting my Eagle Scout mom pin, I say absolutely.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes, and I don't have my pin on either.
Uh-oh.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Again.
I'm back.
Oh, okay. Okay, Mr. Cittadino, you're on again. Superintendent's report.
Excellent. I'll pause for a little bit. I know some of the Boy Scouts, some have to go to a post meeting to talk about attending a public meeting, some have to go home and get ready for school tomorrow. Some might have to build a canoe because it's raining so hard.
I think the citizenship and the community requirement is also covered by a township meeting. Mrs. Cittadino, Boy Scouts are alive and well in Old Bridge.
Sure are, thank goodness. Schools haven't looked better because of the work they're doing. Okay. Well, thank you everyone for indulging me in staying beyond the Boy Scouts. So my superintendent's report is about a topic that's come up on social media and I know in conversations out in the public. In October of 2016, a proposal was put forth to the State Board of Education and the Department of Education through the founders of the Thomas Edison's charter school, Energy Smart Charter School, that serves the residents of Franklin, Somerset, North Brunswick, and the surrounding area. And they proposed the need for a charter school in Old Bridge, New Jersey. So I wanted to just educate everyone that was here, any questions about it, about why charter schools exist, and a little bit of the history from some of their own websites. And this is what I found. They were originally conceived as teacher-run schools that would serve the students that are struggling inside the traditional system that would operate outside the reach of the administrative bureaucracies and that were politicized by big city school boards. I put big cities in bold because I don't know if Old Bridge is a big city. I certainly don't get a big city feel from it. I get a large square mile feel from it, but the feel I get from the community members and they're involved is a small town feel where kind of almost everybody knows each other. And I think that trickles down to our schools. And some of the things they're looking for in these a charter school would be a safe alternative for parents and children, improved student outcomes, and innovation. Well, I'm here to say that in Old Bridge Township Schools, we do have a safe environment for learning, and we nurture the social, emotional, and intellectual needs of every student we serve. We have innovative and progressive district programs, and we are witnessing measurable growth outcomes. So I thought I'd give some examples as to that. Old Bridge Township School District is the only school district in the state of New Jersey that is not only district recognized as a character for being a nationally registered school district of character, but has 14 nationally recognized schools within it. We have a Middlesex County Prosecutor's Office best practice for our memorandum of agreement with our local police department that serves to protect our students, and they do that day in and day out, and we've seen that recently at our middle school. Just since 2012-16, we've had a 48% drop in incidents of violence and vandalism in our schools. So it shows we've made marketable and measurable increases towards delivering a better and safe environment for our students. Old Bridge Township schools are innovative. If you look at some of the programs we have in place in our schools, we have a second-to-none Kids to College program that is partnered with at least 21 different universities. We have a ShopRite transition program where our students learn hands-on skills that serve their peers and their staff, and they leave here ready to work and to be employed with not only ShopRite skills, shop and supermarket career skills, but careers in management, in stocking, inventory, customer satisfaction, and I've never been so proud as to each time I go there is to see the growth of those students. We have events like Superintendent's Lunch Bunch, where we invite random students from across the district to come and see how a school district runs and operates so we can better hear what the needs of the students are. We have what's growing by leaps and bounds in the district and being emulated by the library and other districts around us, programs like Readers of the Pack, where therapy dogs are helping students learn in the classroom. We have code developing within our schools. And obviously most districts like ourselves take place in the Hour of Code. This year we launched a Note Bowl hybrid for high school students where they can take courses like in college with a platform online. So days that they couldn't be in the classroom, they don't lose anything. And we are the only district in the state of New Jersey that has 2 side-dome planetariums. While those aren't new, the technology for them is new. And the charter schools theme is having a STEM or STEAM platform. I don't know if you can get much more technology than having 2 university-level planetariums that serves every student in the district within our own schools. And our students perform. Our SAT scores have set new records in Old Bridge, and they continue to do so. We have increased AP participation and performance on those increased level of students who are taking AP courses and AP exams. We've seen significant gains in park performance. We have an elementary school scored in the top 20 in park elementary schools in the state of New Jersey. That is also the only elementary school in the Middlesex County to be in the top 20 on the park. We have a national distinguished Title I school. And in our own district, the entire district, we went from outperforming 53% of the districts in New Jersey on the park to 63% of the districts on the park just in 1 year. We have made increasing strides, and that all has to do with the team that makes Old Bridge great. It's the parents, it's the students, it's the staff that's in the classrooms every day that we have witnessed these strides and these growths in such a short period of time. So my message is that we are not a district that needs innovation. We are not a district that needs to witness students' performance growth. And I'm the first one to tell you, I say it all the time, the largest room in any organization is the room for improvement. And I'm not going to stop, and if we're not improving, then I'll tell you then I need to go. But we're improving every year, and we've seen that improvement, and we're going to keep on improving. And this is information that this school board doesn't even know yet. So this next slide is pretty interesting. For the first time in the history of Old Bridge Township Public Schools, we've had a school, an elementary school, that was contacted today, Cheesequake Elementary School, was invited to apply for the National Blue Ribbon Award. So they say that timing is everything, and I couldn't agree more. And Dr. Ferry contacted us to say, hey, I just got an email from National Blue Ribbon, and if you know anything about the program, you have to be invited to apply for National Blue Ribbon status. You can't write letters, you can't call and say, I want to be a Blue Ribbon school. They have to look at your performance, and they look at performance based upon longevity, years of performance, or an increased performance area. And that's what we've done here with a Title I school, which had low performance, and now is performing high performance on a regular basis. And we couldn't be more proud. I know it's been a goal of this board since way back in 2013. We started talking about it. We need to get a Blue Ribbon schools. We need to work towards that. We have our National Schools of Character. What's the next step? And something that Dr. Hoker and I talk about all the time is that if you build it, it will come. That's what happens here. You have to build the basis. Children have to feel safe in school. They have to feel invited in schools. And when that happens, when the staff climate increases to that level, where the staff gets that sense of pride in what they're doing and sees those results, like in the National Blue Ribbon status, everything else will come after that. Climate comes first. And we've seen that climate, and we're seeing the change and the performance outcomes, and I couldn't be more proud than I am today. And I know we're going to work entirely as a Old Bridge community to ensure the application status for Cheesequake School is not only attained but celebrated. So thank you to everyone from Cheesequake School for their hard work, and their families for their hard work to achieve that possibility for the recognition today. Thank you. I think that deserves another round of applause for. So, there's that next slide about Cheesequake School. So a little bit about the proposal. The Albert Einstein Energy Smart Charter School is a proposed STEAM school for K-2 in year 1. Year 1 is 2017-18 according to our application. Obviously, this is a fast-track application. The district only became aware of it after the application was submitted and went to Phase 1. There's 2 phases in the charter application process. Phase 1 is kind of very preliminary. It just tells you who is behind the wanting to found the charter school, and it has to demonstrate that there's public interest. Now, public interest comes in a form of letters that are submitted, but there's really no way of saying who's signing the letters, if the address are valid to the letters. In fact, some of the letters that I reviewed, even though the letter states that the residents are from Old Bridge, some residents were from West Windsor and Freehold. The second part is that their plan is to grow by a grade level per year until 5th grade in 2020-21, being 360 students. If you skip down to the financial impact, it's easy to estimate that we have to provide school funding for 90% of the tuition for each student who goes there. So just in round figures, figure $10,000 per student, or $1.6 million the first year and $3.6 million the second year. What the difference is in what you're getting here in Old Bridge for your taxpayer dollars is a complete school district. We provide something for everyone. We don't provide an education for a niche few group of people who are looking for a very slim, narrow education that is just based upon one thing. If you're a student who's interested in the arts, we have the arts for you. If you're a student that's interested in athletics, we have athletics for you. If you're interested in the sciences, we have science. If you are special needs students, we have the best special needs program in the state of New Jersey for you. And that costs money. We can't narrow it down to an average or just hope that those people who want those needs and services don't show up and just provide a bare bones education. We provide a full comprehensive education for everyone. And that's the kind of program we want to continue to provide. But losing $1.6 million to $3.6 million or beyond that would really minimize our ability to do that. And I hear people say, what's wrong with competition? Competition is not the same when you're delivering 2 different types of education. If I could just say that we're just going to educate the most educatable, it'd be very inexpensive to educate people. But that's not the goal of Old Bridge Township Public Schools. So what can you do? The best thing to do is to get involved. One of the other things I do want to talk about is the site. Proposed site for this is that Sarah Woods Bible Church on Route 9. I have my own feelings about the safety of that site. It's nothing to do with the safety of the church. The elders of the church are fantastic people. They run a great church organization, but it's not a school. There is no perimeter fencing. There's no area for a playground. So I ask, if you're going to send your kindergarten, 1st or 2nd grade child there, you're going to send them inside all day, or you're going to let them run around in a parking lot on Route 9 with 2 lanes of Express New Jersey Transit buses and a gas station next door. It really doesn't provide for a safe environment. But looking further beyond that, speaking to the elders at the church, they have informed me that they have denied occupancy for the charter school for their own reasons. But the charter school founders have stated that they have other areas they're looking to open in. They're negotiating with other areas. So, this is the kind of thing we need to know about. When in an application, they've come forward with an application stating that this is their intention, and the district and the taxpayers gets to review that and say, well, maybe it is a suitable or an adequate place for children to learn. But if they did not secure a location prior to submitting an application, and now we're going to change it at the last hour to say, well, we don't have that site, we're going to another site, it doesn't allow us or me the opportunity to adequately assess whether it's or even respond to whether it's a spot that will be adequate for students to learn in. So that's just something we have to wait on and see. Again, a lot of my information today is basically giving you the background. I'll have much more details about the program, the deficiencies in the application at my superintendent's forum. Obviously, a lot of people are planning to come. We'll move that to the high school if necessary. The only one thing I do want to leave you with today are how you can get involved. There are local representatives that you can contact. You don't have to write it down. I have 150 of them in the back table of this slide for everyone to see with their phone numbers. My contacts within the state have told me that emails don't work as well as phoning, letting them know, hearing a voice. A lot of the political figures keep it like a notepad next to their phone. So when they get a call on a subject, they knock off that, one more call on that subject, one more call on that subject. And after they get a few phone calls, they realize that the people of the community are really serious about something. And it's easier than deleting an email that they might think is a group email or an email that's a form that's been circulated. So please make those contacts. Please stay involved, and we'll work on this together to keep Old Bridge one Old Bridge. Staying involved is we have a strategic planning separate and apart from this. As part of our strategic planning, will take place on February 9th at Old Bridge High School, 7 p.m. I need every stakeholder. It doesn't matter to me if you've been teaching here 1 year, if you've been teaching here 30 years, if you're never taught here, if you have children in the school district, don't have children in the school district. The stakeholders of the community are what's going to drive us past 2021 with our stakeholder and a 5-year plan. So please be there on February 9th. More information will come out. I'll have more information at my forum. It'll be put on social media and forward where the exact location will be at Old Bridge High School. I thank you for your involvement and for being here this evening.
Folks, thank you all for coming out tonight. Obviously, this is a very important topic, and obviously you all care about it. So please use those flyers in the back to contact whoever Mr. Citadino said to contact, because we got to do everything we can to stop this. Progress towards goals? Or
That's all, kind of all tied
Yeah, I
together.
kind of figured. Mr. Mauer, any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Okay, special committee reports. We have a few tonight because we skipped it last month thinking we had, didn't have enough time. Actually, we had too much time. But if my colleagues don't mind, I'm going to start with mine because I'm borrowing Mr. Dinehoff's computer and I have to give it back to him. I held an Athletics, Food Service, Medical Service Committee meeting on November 28th. Medical Services Head Nurse Audrey Baker advised that we are well stocked up on EpiPens at $112 apiece. With the new price of up to $600 each, she was able to secure a free supply from Mylan, so we are okay for a while. There is a new policy in place regarding administering Narcan. She is working with the school doctor to get a procedure in place. Sports physical cutoffs is 7:15 for summer sports, 10:1 for winter sports, and 2:9 for spring sports. Athletes can go to their private doctor, but our doctor must also clear the student. Coaches must learn what is needed, and the state wants to get out of the physical business where going to your own doctor would suffice. Food services, Michelle Feliciano, our Sodexo General Manager, she announced that her newly hired chef, Catherine Salerno, has been promoted to supervisor. Catherine has already implemented various new programs such as Serving Up Smiles and various action stations, which the students seem to love. Catherine has also instituted nutrition seminars to teach elementary students about the importance of nutrition. Mrs. Hunter is also recruiting student ambassadors in marketing as a career. Athletics. Our new athletic director, Mr. Domino, reported that all fall sports are now over. We beat East Brunswick in our annual Thanksgiving Day Battle of Route 18 football game. I'm not sure how many times in a row that is, but it's pretty much a given now. No offense to any East Brunswick people. 7 out of 8 of our varsity teams finished over 500. Ray Rivera has set a new school record. I think, I could be wrong, 3.2 miles in 15.21 minutes. I can't drive that in 15 minutes, but anyway. And has committed to Georgetown University. The winter season sports of basketball and wrestling will be starting shortly. This meeting was over a month ago also. There will be a new equipment/uniform inventory process put in place. Discussion followed regarding assistant coaches for field hockey and lacrosse. Nora Perry Schmitz of the Alumni Path Foundation was also in attendance and advised how her foundation may be able to assist financially with a wish list for our arts and athletic programs. Since 2009, they have sponsored various teams with trips, a scoreboard, etc. They can't help unless they know what we need. Mrs. Schmitz and Mr. Demina will be in contact to further discuss our needs and their assistance. A discussion followed on these needs and possible uniformity of Old Bridge School mascots. Who pays for cleaning supplies for the concession stand, and a possible new sign on 516 for Carl Sandburg Middle School. That's my report. Thank you. Can we pass that to Jeff? I guess we'll start on that end. Mr. Singh, no, right? Mr. Reed, no. Jeffrey, if you need a minute to get to your page.
Yes, thank you, Mr. DePrimo. Last month, I represented the board at the New Jersey School Boards Association Semi-Annual Delegate Assembly, which took place on December 10th in West Windsor. It was attended by 145 board members throughout the state. And I need to just provide a brief summary of delegate action taken by the Assembly. The Delegate Assembly is NJSBA's major policy-setting body. Action by the delegates determines the association's position before the state legislature, the State Board of Education, Congress, and the courts. There was only one resolution on the agenda for discussion and action at last month's Assembly meeting. This resolution called for a change in the adjudication process for special education disputes. A resolution originally submitted by the Marlborough Township Board of Education called for legislation that would place the burden of proof in disputes over a child's individualized education program, IEP, with the party filing the action. Under current state law enacted in 2007, the burden of proof rests with the school district, whether it initiated the appeal or not. The original district brought this resolution forward, citing that in most other types of litigation, the party that brings legal action endures the burden of proof. A task force survey asked superintendents and special education directors to identify changes in laws and regulations that would enable them to manage costs. More than 1/3 of the cited adjudication process for special education programs, especially the due process and burden of proof clause, as an area in need of change. The NJSBA Delegate Assembly approved the resolution with 78% of the members voting in favor. And I was not included in that 78% because I felt that in some districts it is a big financial burden for students and for parents to first place up front the attorney fees and things of that nature. So I voted for an amendment that would have mitigated that slightly, but it was passed by the State Assembly. The association leadership, however, stated that it believes firmly in programming to help all students achieve their fullest potential, and that the resolution will give the NJSBA the opportunity to address ways to control costs without harming either special or general education. In other news and in other business, the Delegate Assembly approved a bylaws amendment recommended by the task force to study board governance. Under the provision, an individual must step down from an NJSBA or County School Boards Association leadership position upon the decision to run for municipal, county governing body, or state or federal office, or to assume the chair of a county or state political party. This amendment applies only to the individual's association leadership position and would not affect his or her Board of Education membership. This bylaw proposal passed with 89% of the delegates voting in favor. And this concludes my NJSBA report.
Thank you, Mr. Deinhoff. Mrs. Foster?
And now,
Oh,
and now for technology. Yes, one more. We held a district technology committee meeting on January 12th, and I'm going to read a brief update from the meeting. The committee first discussed the Kindle pilot at Miller School. The district purchased 30 Kindle Fires for a kindergarten pilot at Miller School. The cost was $84 per Kindle. The Kindle will allow the kindergarten students to get acclimated to apps and give them exposure to using a device while at the same time saving taxpayer money. Mrs. Tammy Generali, kindergarten teacher at Miller, presented a PowerPoint and shared her experience with the Kindles in her classroom. She stated that all of the apps used on the Kindle Fire are free, and the students greatly enjoyed using them. Apps for math, shape recognition, sight words, letter tracing, and number recognition covers all curriculum areas and integrates the Journey's reading program. Mrs. Generali stated that by using a free app, she is able to mirror the Kindle Fire onto the smartboard, making it interactive. In addition, Allison Voss, Special Education PTA President, stated that they are looking into purchasing 5 Kindle Fires for Mrs. Strong's special education class. SEPTA is also looking into fundraising prospects to be able to purchase more for next year. Mrs. Moran, Director of Technology, stated that in most cases, the apps on the Kindles are the same as the iPad apps. The apps are very easy to deploy using Whispercast, an Amazon program. The Kindle screen is not compatible for park testing, so the Kindles will be kept available for instruction during testing periods. Also, Ms. Moran stated that Mrs. Minch's class has purchased 16 Kindles for preschool. Also, McDivitt, Voorhees, and Madison Park have each purchased 30 Kindles for their kindergarten classes. Ms. Moran is hoping to have 30 Kindles for kindergarten classes in each elementary school by the end of the year. Next, the committee discussed the technology plan 2016 to 2019. This technology plan was approved by the county superintendent. They were looking for a viable plan for digital learning that was focused on instruction and integration of technology and effective use. Ms. Moran said that our plan was used as a model for other districts. The committee then discussed the Hour of Code last year. Mrs. Moran stated that we had quite a few activities for the Hour of Code. The elementary computer teachers went above and beyond. Grissom had 4th grade students from Cheesequick come to their school for joint activities where they also received a personalized message from Justin Tuck, former New York Giants player. Kindergarten through 5th grade students at Memorial School completed activities on code.org. Students in different grade levels interacted with each other using a program called Lightbot. Voorhees and Miller schools completed unplugged activities using Dot and Dash and Bbots. Next, the committee was briefed on a visit by Highland Park. Mrs. Moran and Dr. Cascone coordinated a visit with the new supervisor of technology of the Highland Park School District. Staff from Highland Park met Mrs. Moran and Dr. Cascone at Shepherd School, where Mr. Scarappa, the elementary computer teacher, demonstrated how he uses Office 365 and various programs online. They then visited the Challenge Program classroom where they watched students coding and programming and saw the 3D printer in action. They were also able to go to Sandburg Middle School to see Mr. Brennan, who talked about the use of tech assessment in Study Island in order to measure proficiency in Office 365. Mr. Town then showed the MCAD program called SketchUp and Engineering Concepts of Bridge Building. Next, we discussed the iPad end of lease and the status of current investigations. The district's final payment on the iPad lease is due January 2018. Mrs. Moran is meeting with the District Leadership Council and the secondary principals to investigate options. The district will likely be moving toward a diversified deployment of devices depending on need and grade level. The committee then discussed park preparation. Mrs. Moran stated that the techs have started to work on the Proctor caching machines and device prep for testing. The principals were asked if they need anything for park as far as mice or headphones. Items like keyboards or iPad stands will be borrowed from other schools as needed to avoid the purchase of new equipment. And lastly, the committee discussed Gaggle, which is a safeguard program which monitors emails for specific words and images. Currently, student accounts in Office 365 are only able to exchange emails with other internal OBPS email domains. Mrs. Moran is looking for high school and middle school students to be able to access email accounts outside of OBPS domains with the protection of Gaggle. If emails being sent or received contain inappropriate words or images, Gaggle will send an alert to the principal, teacher, or building support personnel, depending on how the program is set up. The email will not be sent or received until the alert is addressed. This access will allow students to correspond with authors, experts, and others around the world. The next District Technology Roundtable Committee meeting is scheduled for February 9th at 3:45 p.m., and the next District Technology Committee meeting is scheduled for March 16th at 7 p.m., both of which take place in the Administration Building Conference Room. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deinhoff. Mrs. Foster?
Yes, hi. I just want to give everyone a quick update on our negotiation committee. If you don't know, our collective bargaining agreements are up this June, and we actually kicked off our meetings in December. And I just, we of course can't give out a lot of details, but I can say overall we've had an extremely collaborative and an approach of great partnership. We are getting actually close to some agreements with some of our groups, and we are going to continue to meet. We've been meeting through December. We have meetings scheduled through February. We are meeting almost every week with at least one of the groups. So just wanted to let everybody know that it's I think, going very well. If I can just kind of call out, I would like to thank Mr. Mayor and his staff. There's a great deal of data that has to be pulled together and documentation and verified and vetted, so, they're doing a phenomenal job in helping get that out. As well as I would like to thank all of the union representatives in this process. I have to say, it's been a much more enjoyable experience doing it, and it has been, very positive. I'd especially like to thank Mr. O'Neill and his whole group with these and accommodating me tomorrow. We're pushing it off so I can go to my daughter's senior, what am I doing? Oh, Thursday. Sorry. I'll send out a reminder. That's why we have Joe to keep me on track. So just give that update, and hopefully you'll continue to hear positive news that will be agreements all signed well in advance of the due date.
Thank you, Kelly. Okay, Donna, anything? I was going to start that way. No?
I have personnel, chair personnel. We meet every month. At this time, the administration is looking at new enrollment figures and trying to project where we will be. Until we have a handle on that, I think we'll hold off on talking about where we need to put certain classrooms or if we'd have to move anybody, if we have larger enrollments, if we have a reduction in enrollment. We need to see those numbers before we can make anything public as to what our plans are going forward. So we'll have a better handle on the numbers, and we'll try and get that out for you next month. We'll see.
Thank you. Jill, I know you have something?
Yes. I'm going to apologize in advance for the length of this report because it encompasses 3 months. I recently took over the curriculum committee, and I chaired the meeting on January 9th, but I thought it was important that there was a little overview of the November and December meetings. The committee met on November 7th. The curriculum showcase of the month was the health curriculum revision for grades 6 through 12. Dr. Cascone and members of the health curriculum revision team briefed the committee on the edits and enhancements which were made to the 6 to 12 health education curriculum to ensure the articulated annual address of substance abuse awareness and prevention topics. Dr. Hoker briefed the committee on the district professional development plan for the 2016-2017 school year, which included district professional learning goals and supporting activities. Mr. Caulfield briefed the committee on the preliminary district assessment report in advance of the full presentation, which was presented at the Public Board of Education meeting in November. Okay, we're back. Dr. Cascone, Mrs. Hicks, and business teacher Deborah Hunter presented a proposal for the establishment of a high school internship program for juniors and seniors. Dr. Cascone and Mrs. Hicks also presented to the board on the Girls Who Code Club initiative, which is now being implemented at the high school. A proposal for a unified generation course at the high school was presented to the committee, including its mission, program, and logistics considerations. Middle school social studies teacher James Yanozelli, Mr. Celentano, and Dr. Cascone presented to the committee a proposal to utilize digital devices, learning management systems, and open educational resources. I know my mic keeps going in and out. The committee met again on November 5th. Ms. Pacercia, guidance counselor at Sandburg Middle School, presented to the committee on the mission and work of the peer program. Members of the peer program spoke about their experiences and recited original poetry. Mr. Lawrence, Ms. Washburn, Mrs. Lowry, and Mr. Maranzoli presented on the challenge program, which included proposed program enhancements and corresponding budget issues for the 2017-2018 school year. Elementary guidance counselors Jean Zarkowski, Shepherd School, and Kirsten Tilton Carpenter School presented to the committee on the Kids at College program and the development of an articulated K-5 college and career readiness curriculum. Mr. Outcalt, curator at the GNC Planetarium, and Dr. Cascone briefed the committee on a proposal to establish a summer robotics camp for elementary students. Mr. Celentano discussed with the committee a budget proposal for creating a writing center for the 17-18 school year. Dr. Cascone introduced the committee to an opiate abuse prevention film produced by the federal government. Dr. Cascone shared proposed plans for its use at the high school. Dr. Cascone provided the committee with an update regarding the 6 through 12 implementations of the NGSS. The briefing included I'm sorry, I lost my place. Yeah, I know. Digital and existing print resources are being used to support the curriculum, as well as a plan for new adoptions for the 2017-18 school year. Mrs. Keeler discussed the varying populations of ELL students in the Old Bridge Township Public Schools and the increasing need for specialized services within the ELL department. The committee met again on January 9th. The curriculum showcase of the month was integrated technology presented by high school art teacher Mr. Colon. Mr. Colon briefed the committee on how the high school art classes have effectively integrated technology using Edmodo software. Dr. Cascone reported to the committee on the feedback received from teachers and students who participated in the Learning Management Systems pilot, as well as any recommended future steps regarding implementation. Dr. Cascone and Mr. Domino presented a PowerPoint to the committee on Option 2, Programs and Policies, a strategic briefing to the Board of Ed. Mr. Caulfield and Dr. Cascone discussed revisions and proposed changes to the high school 2017-2018 course offering book in advance of Board of Ed approval. Dr. Cascone updated the committee on the discussions regarding posting curriculum online for parents and the proposed plan and timeline for moving forward. The next meeting is on February 27th in the administration conference room at 7 p.m. As far as my public relations report, I have a Municipal Alliance meeting tomorrow, so really don't have anything to report. I do have some magnets up here that were produced, collaborative effort by MAPSA and the Governor's Council on Alcoholism and Drug Abuse. By now, I'm hoping everybody in the public is aware that there is a drop box for your unused medication located in the municipal complex. And there's magnets up here after the meeting if anybody wants them. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Cowley. I believe, are you going to check her mic? Thank you. And last but not least, Mr. Dunn.
Good evening, everyone. On Thursday, December 8th, 2016, we had our Finance, Buildings and Grounds and Transportation Committee meeting at the Administration Building. And obviously, we all know that there's a lot of things going on within our district facility-wise. As we know, many of our facilities are aging, and we are working very diligently to ensure that our facilities are kept in a way where we can provide the finest education for our children. The first program, the first item that we did discuss at the meeting in detail was the ESIP program. I'll remind everyone that's the program that we are investing approximately $14 million into our infrastructure. And that $14 million we paid back based upon the realized savings from the energy improvements. So our bond will be paid for based upon our savings going forward. But this $14 million will be utilized to improve our facilities, our infrastructure, to make our buildings better energy-wise, and to give a better learning environment to our students. So Honeywell is the energy services provider who is working on this project, and we are still working on laying out the groundwork for what programs we'll be implementing in each building to ensure that we upgrade them accordingly. One program which we are high on and will be getting back RFPs are solar panels for our buildings. That will help us realize greater savings, and the board felt that that would be a good alternative to increase our savings and to pay for our financing in a more cost-effective manner. If we do the solar panels, that means we do new roofs on some of these buildings as well. So this will be a win-win situation, and those roofs will be paid for through our savings through the ESIP program. So that's moving along, and we will keep everyone posted on our progress. One good thing is that we will be starting with one of the more simpler projects, which gives us more of a cost savings immediately, and that's upgrading our internal lighting in the buildings to LEDs. And that's getting geared up to start relatively soon. It's not going to impact any of our instruction. It will be done after hours, and that would give us the greatest realized savings more quickly. So that's getting geared up, and hopefully I'll have more to come on that. Secondly, we had a presentation to the committee from the fire official from District 2, Tom Garrity, and he's also the acting OEM of the township, concerning two issues that he may have with our two facilities. Number one, Wisdom Way, which is the entry onto Ticetown Road from Sandburg. School and the Lombardi Complex. There's some concerns that it was a little too narrow for emergency services vehicles and egress purposes, so he made a presentation about possibly widening that. So we are going to consider his recommendation because we all want to make sure that our facilities are safe and that we have the abilities for entry and egress. He also discussed about a possibility with getting a secondary egress from out of the high school campus. On the west side of 516, there's a White House that's between Guy Park and the high school. That White House, which is close to 516, will be torn down, and it looks like there's going to be an age-restricted development going in there. Obviously, there's some concerns with having an age-restricted development next to the GNC because of noise and things of that nature, but we're pretty confident that it's not going to be an issue. But part of the planning board discussion is to have them put in a road for fire entry purposes for the fire department and first responders, but in the same time, we can connect it to our campus, and it will give us a secondary means of egress. Right now, we only have one means of egress to get cars in and out or emergency vehicles, and if we work with our neighbor on this project, which they will absorb, I believe, the entire cost, but we will give them some right-of-ways, it will give us a real good situation with having a secondary means of egress in the event there's an emergency. So we were working with Tom Garrity on those issues. Also, Sandburg, there's a big generator project that's going to be starting there relatively soon. As we all know, Sandburg is a facility that's used as a shelter by the county. So we were able to get monies for an upgraded standby generator, which will give that facility power in the event that there is another type of Sandy storm or any kind of severe storm that impacts our community. That program, those improvements are moving forward, and I was just informed today that there is a plan in place to ensure that the transformers, which is a big part of the improvement, will stay in place until the new ones arrive, allowing us to go online a lot quicker. Principal Simon, Dr. Simon, had some concerns about the program of the installation of the new generator because it would possibly infringe on her school during the summer and possibly delay the start of school for Sandburg if the work wasn't done. You know, when they do a new electrical service, they disconnect everything from the grid and they redo everything. So there's a lot of hiccups that may occur, but we're working with Dr. Simon and also our professionals to ensure that we don't have that problem. So we'll be moving forward with that, and we'll keep everyone informed on that program. Additionally, transportation, I'm happy to report that transportation is operating at a very high standard as it usually is. Denise Capasso was at our meeting, and there was a few special need parents who attended our meeting, and there was a lot of questions concerning transportation for children with special needs. And I thought it was a very refreshing conversation. There was good back and forth. A lot of the questions that the parents had were answered, but we still have to follow up on that because we're running out of time, and I think it's important that our parents who have special needs children, which our transportation department does a great job in transporting, should get all their answers concerning transportation, because it's one of those, issues, when you're transporting kids in wheelchairs with physical handicaps, you get concerned, and there's always a lot of questions concerning, our policies. So we want to open that up more to of course, SEPTA and to the CPAG, which is Special Education's Parents Advisory Group, and we want to work closely with them to make sure that their needs are met as well. I'm looking to have another meeting in the very near future, but with the budget process upon us, we may not get to another meeting until March, but I'll make that announcement. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Dunn. I apologize, I neglected to say it earlier, but happy birthday. It was Mr. Dunn's birthday, I believe, 2 days ago?
Yes.
Happy birthday.
I'm happy to say I'm 47 years old. I'm
Yeah,
proud
I
of
think
it.
it's like 3 years in a row, but that's besides the point. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. Moving on. Hearing of residents, agenda items
Can
only.
I just say one
but-
thing before you go to that? Just be brief.
Sure.
There was a meeting today with the Instructional Council, which also doubles as our calendar committee. And at the February 7th board meeting, we will be introducing a calendar options to the board for the board to discuss, to select which of their options they'd like to put forward for the meeting the next week, to adopt. I know some people said they weren't aware of the calendar process, how the calendar is discussed. oh my God, we have school on January 2nd. Nobody told us. The superintendent switched it during Christmas break. So if you want to be involved in the process, have a voice in the process, let the board hear your preferences and position on the calendar, February 7th at 7:30 at the agenda meeting, the calendar will first go before the board for 2 public meetings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Cittadino. Okay, hearing of residents on agenda items only, but for time purposes, that's going to include Mr. Cittadino's report on the charter school, because I know a lot of you are here for that. So if you have any questions or concerns with that, please feel free. Mr. O'Neill?
Thank you. First, I want to mention that negotiations have been going well, though you may not have been able to tell by the red in the room. But it was actually, teachers were wearing red in opposition to the charter school movement at the national, state, and of course, most importantly, the local level. So you could take that as a show of support for the Board of Education and administration in their efforts to oppose the charter school proposed for Old Bridge. I urge members of the community to learn about charter schools, and this charter school specifically. The more you learn about it, the more that you're going to see that it is not an opportunity, as people like to spin it, but as something that could be quite damaging to the district. You learn about how they remove funding from the school districts, how their goal is to generate profit and not serve the community. And one very important element is that the community has no input in a charter school. There is no elected Board of Education making those decisions. There is no public forum like this for you to help shape the direction of that charter school. So please take advantage of the opportunities that you do have, learn about charter schools, get involved and be an advocate for your children. Thank you.
Anyone else? Agenda items? Ma'am, can you come to the podium, please? Just state your name and press the button on the mic so we can hear you, please.
Okay, Tina Fotis. I want to know what you are doing to get it out about the charter school, because I've spoken to people and they've had no idea that a charter school was even proposed in Old Bridge. Not even my daughter's teacher had no idea.
Well, we're having a meeting tomorrow prior to President's Council with local officials, NJEA, members of the press, to put together a plan of action and spreading more of the word. Right now, it's kind of been a little bit of grassroots conversations on social media. My social media is actually on the district website, so anything that I put there goes on the district website. There was an alert to parents that went home on prior to Martin Luther King Day, talking about attending the forum to receive information about the charter school. So more information will be forthcoming, and we'll be putting it out there. Hopefully, there'll be stuff in the press too soon.
Not my daughter's teacher, the school secretary. I don't want my daughter's teacher mad at me.
Mr. Dupree, if I might add, when a charter school applies for an application, they do not have to inform the district. The application goes to the state of New Jersey. So no one comes to ask the district, whether it's the Board of Ed or the superintendent's office, and say, hey, we want to put a charter school here. It's an outside group that comes in, whatever mission that they have. Am I wrong?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'm sorry.
okay, then the rules would
You are,
change,
Ms.
sorry.
Andriani. When the charter school makes application, they also have to provide that application to the school superintendent in any district that will be directly affected. In this case, that's just Mr. Cittadino.
But they don't need to ask us.
No, you're.
So it was only
the
partially-
Board
I was only
of
partially wrong.
Education is not directly involved, but the superintendent, on behalf of the district, has the right to file a response and so-called recommendations. You can imagine what the recommendations from the district will be. And we are all working on that together. The Hatikva Charter School is a serious issue. It's still being fought by districts including South River, Old Bridge, East Brunswick, and led by Highland Park. This is in a much earlier stage than the Hatikva Charter School. They are proposing their 6th expansion right now, and that is being fought. That's being litigated in the appellate division by several boards of education. This is at the entry level. The charter school, the Albert Einstein Energy Smart Charter School, does not yet exist. Its sister school does exist, but this is being fought. The fact that it's not being picked up by the press yet is something that we hope to fix tonight and tomorrow night, and it will be an ongoing battle, hopefully a short and very positive one, but we'll see.
Mrs. Lanoff, do you have that picture handy? Jeff? Camera ladies, can you zoom in on this, please? It kind of depicts our plight. It shows the building of, well, you could have just held it up. There you go. I don't know if you guys can get that. It shows the building of the charter school, brick by brick, but they're taking the bricks from our school. I mean, that pretty much sums it all up. I don't know if you got it, girls, but thank you. Anybody else? I'm sorry, hold on. I'm sorry. Sir, can you just come to the mic, please, so everybody can hear you? Pass.
Who are the founders, and is there a definite way to stop it? Who are the founders, and is there a definite way to stop the charter school from coming?
I would say the best way, and it hasn't proven positive in many other districts, is still to be the voice of the people. Like Mr. O'Neill stated, that the altruistic beginnings of a charter school are long gone, and it's a money-making operation for many of them now. Mr. Mayor, what is our ability to have cash reserve overflow from year to year?
Each regular operating school district is allowed to maintain 2% of its annual expenditures in a reserve account, savings account. And the Thomas Edison Energy Smart School has 33% of its operating expenses set aside in the savings account. So they're not operating, it's not the same playing field for us. They definitely have an advantage over us. And when I've spoken to other BAs who've been victimized by charter schools, their comments are, once the train gets rolling with the charter school, it's pretty much difficult, it's very difficult to stop it. But you need to get it up front like we're doing now.
So more information will come out. Mr. Parton, is the application itself that I walk around with every day, is this public information?
Yes, the application is filed with the Department of Education, so it would be operable from them, and there is no secrecy to the application. So you could provide that information. We can provide the response that is put in by the district. As with everything else in New Jersey, this is a pretty heavily regulated area. Unfortunately, it is regulated very much in favor of charter schools. The quote-unquote innovative educational approach that gave rise to the idea of charter schools in places like Oakland, California, is not a bad idea. But it is focused on at-risk student populations, it is focused on failing school districts, and it is focused on elite innovative facilities, none of which are present in this application. So through the screen and the lens of the Department of Education regulations that authorize charter schools, that they have to meet the criteria listed in those regulations to be approved, we are attacking them on every element. And there is a basis in a review of the application that Mr. Cittadino carries around with him all the time. And Mr. Mara and I and Dr. Cascone, Dr. Hoker, the entire administrative team are working to poke holes and identify deficiencies, because up through starting with the initial application, the Phase 2 application, and the preparedness visit, which is kind of the final pre-flight check, the Department of Education has imposed on itself mandatory elements that it has to address and find satisfaction with as to each charter school's application. the tide may be turning. There's been a tremendous bias in favor of granting charter schools. The last batch that came through in the end of September, only 4 out of 9 were approved. That's either a good sign or it means the other shoe is going to drop. Depends how cynical you are. But there are serious deficiencies in this application, and we are working hard to identify them and make them very, very clear to Commissioner Harrington in her review of this application.
Just one thing I will state that, you know, and I've said it since the beginning, since I've worked in Elizabeth, you know, I understand a place for charter schools. It's not Old Bridge. Hope that was clear in my message before. It's not that I'm saying the concept is bad. It's bad for the wrong places, and Old Bridge is not the right place for it. Like, to steal a quote from Mr. O'Neill, when I said that we are outperforming 63% of districts in the park, he said, well, that's 63% of districts where charter schools should go before it goes here, which is true. Not that, you know, you wish that upon them either if it's not needed. But if you don't do your homework and if you don't put together the foresight to say, I worked hard to get this application because I'm there for the sake of children, which I hope that everyone, and I know that everyone in Old Bridge Township School is there for the sake of children, I don't see this in this application. I see a cut and paste job trying to make money and get it done as quickly as possible. I will read something to you from Section 2 in which they have to show an educational program need. It says, the results clearly indicate that Old Bridge Township Schools were not able to meet the state averages, while Thomas Edison Energy Smart School has outperformed all other districts in the state average. Well, that's great, but they showed the results of 7 schools in Perth Amboy, no schools in Old Bridge. They didn't even get the district right when they took the data. So that's our job, to address it with the Department of Education, and if you can approve an application that is fundamentally flawed because you have faulty data in it from another school district, then you can approve anything.
You know, this district, this community, not even the school district, this town, when somebody's in trouble, everybody comes together and helps that person out. So the community's in trouble, so I'm sure everybody's going to rally and make this happen. Going back, anybody else? Hearing of residents? No? Okay, I'm going to close that portion then. Thank you.
Mr., can I ask you, can we, can the board speak on this now, or would you rather hold that to the end? Because I have some opinions.
I think people, the reason many people are here is to hear their opinions about the charter school, so I'd encourage you to say it now, and then wait till after, you know,
Okay,
we vote on bus routes.
All right, so you know, I spent this last weekend trying to do a lot of research, because I think, you know, there's a lot of people frustrated, and I know I've talked to a lot of people, and I think the one thing, so I broke down to 3 main things, right? And this doesn't even have to do with their curriculum or the programs, because I would tell you any day, I would stack up our district, our programs, our staff, our academics, our athletics, our arts against anybody, and we beat them hands down. So my main concerns really aren't even about the programs. The first thing is, and it talks about, is a charter school is to fill a gap or a need. Well, there is certainly no community outrage about the need for this. We haven't heard that. So I'm not quite sure where that need sprang from. I did read some of that document, which is riddled, I think, with flaws. But there is nothing, and there's certainly nothing compelling in that document that says there's a gap in Old Bridge that they are planning to fill. And I would actually argue the opposite, is that a child who is in our district now going to that school would not get the same education, and they would be disproportionately affected. So I don't think the need is there. The second is this time, that it seems like, oh, yeah, man. We're kind of like railroading this through. So as Mr. Sedadino said, the first application was October, but then this last one came out in the end of December. So I feel like this is an extremely tight time frame that allows us to be able to react and participate in. So the timeline and the lack of data integrity to me is a concern. And then really the third thing is, well, maybe there's a couple more. The public participation in this. So, I mean, everybody here and everybody watching, you know that you hold us accountable. Everything we do, every dollar we spend, every convention, every new hire, everybody's salary, everything is public. And this board here was elected by the people of Old Bridge to ensure the quality of the Old Bridge Public Township School District. This other entity is administered or led by trustees that are appointed. There's no accountability to the public. They receive the public money. They will take your money and are not accountable. You know, if you don't like what we're doing, one, you tell us. That's for sure. Thank you, Diane. You know, but it is, right? You tell us, we have communications, we have discussions. They will take your money and they will not have accountability over them. You know, this board changes. You don't like what we're doing, you know, you can get rid of us. There is not that accountability with it. So the lack of transparency, that if you want to find out about this, you have to dig, you have to do the research. I mean, anything that we want to do and we're proud of, which I would think opening a school is proud of, we ask you to come and participate. We provide you the information. So I'm concerned by this lack of transparency, the lack of accountability. And then the last thing is, I think Mr. Prima alluded to, you know, Old Bridge Public School System is not just 12 schools. It's just not a few buildings. It's just not people. You know, we're a community, we're a family. Now, we may not always agree. We may not always agree on every single thing, and we're not perfect. But we all are agreeing on what direction we're taking, the progress we've made, and where we are going with the district. And I think now, as Mr. Cittadino said, and we'll get more information out, we need you. I can tell you, your elected officials up here support you, but what you need to do is you let other elected officials, who are the ones who are going to make the decision for us. If we could make the decision, we know what the decision would be. So we need you to help us. So I am sure we'll get more detail out in social media. We'll try, because we're the ones who will try to get the information out to you. And really, we do now need you to help us in bringing out what do we need as Old Bridge, so that the residents of Old Bridge will be able to say what they want, not somebody in Trenton and not somebody in Piscataway or anybody in Basking Ridge, but that you get to decide what you want for your education. So that's it.
Mr. DePrima, could I just add one issue? We're going now into the budget process, and typically what happens in the budget process is that on February 28th, we receive notification from the state as to what our state aid is. At that point, the state sends us also a notification of how much we have to pay the charter schools that are out there. We have no say about what gets paid to them. We can't question it. We can't dispute it. It's mandatory that we pay it. Then we could go through the entire budget process expecting to pay, as we are this year, $170,000 to Hatkiva in East Brunswick, and be notified in August that this school is opening, and we have to give them $1.8 million during the school year. So it's really a difficult situation for us to be in. We have to stop this before it starts, because the impact in August or September could be devastating on all the programs in the district. Thank you, Mr. DePrima.
Mr. DePrima, if I might. I may be wrong again because, but that's okay. I just recently read an article about, and I think it was Education Monthly, that the private schools, that the state is moving towards taking away any mandates for certification. So a BA would serve without having a certification process. And it did not point out whether or not that was elementary, preschool, or into high school or not. But they were moving towards taking away mandates towards certification at private schools. The other thing I need to mention is that our chief school administrator, Mr. Cittadino, not only has he spent time in the classroom and in other administrative educational facilities, there's a process that you go through to get a superintendent's certificate. Charter schools, there is no superintendent, and the person in charge is a director. They do not need a chief school administrator certificate.
In this case, they have a proposed...
They might have, but do not have to.
They have a proposed lead person or principal, but doesn't have a principal certificate.
So here you have somebody that's going to be the director or the administrator of the school that does not have the appropriate public school mandated what we have to have in our facilities. They're not held to the same standard. And to me, that's problematic. Ms. Alice Foster was very eloquent in saying, you hold us accountable. Well, you can't hold accountable that board of directors or that facility. I don't know how much the individual parents would have any sway, but it doesn't seem to be that that's the case. The other thing is that they were all supposed to have a mission at one time, and Mr. Cittadino pointed out on his presentation that the original was they were set up with purposefulness to fill a niche of something that was missing in that community. I challenge anybody here to point out any population of children that we don't address. I challenge you to find a group. We can't. You know, whether from whatever classified students we have all the way through the AP students, everybody is addressed. There's always improvement to be had, but we do take care of everyone. Make sure that everybody has equal educational opportunities. We won't have a say. Not me, not you, not Mr. Cittadino, not the mayor, no one. Problematic. And this is now going to be set up as a STEAM school. Now, for those of you who don't know, that's a STEM school with an A. You know, so it's science, technology, engineering, and math. And we have kindergarten to 2 is what they're starting. They're going to add a grade level as they go. Mr. Cittadino pointed out there's no playground to be had, no schoolyard to be had. But a STEAM school, you don't hear anything about arts, whether it's performance art or it's fine arts. What about languages? We provide those here. What about athletics? I mean, so elementary, but hobbies, clubs, all of those, they're not there. So I have a heartfelt place. I have a place for public education. And I support it wholeheartedly. So I'm asking you to get those names off of the back of that paper that that's in the back of the room. And I know Mr. Was the assemblyman and our local congressman and whatever, and not email, hit the phones. I know we have the PTSAs that are very, I'm sure that before you even leave here, you're going to have a call chain set up, and they'll be ready to go out. And we need to do what we need to do to say we don't need it here. So I thank you for your time.
Okay, my name is Christine Eisenberg, if you don't know me. The one thing I do want to say that hasn't been mentioned is that, from what I understand, charter schools tend to crop up where there are failing school districts. They take money from our successful school district, they put it into the charter school. They claim that they are going to take in children of special needs, children that need special things. They do not. The charter schools that opened in Newark, New Jersey in 2016 are failing. You can look that up. I don't have it here, but I read it. They're not surviving. They're not getting people to bring their kids there. They're not what we need in Old Bridge because we have everything here that we already need. I implore you to use those numbers, to look on the Facebook pages, to the Twitter pages, find out how we can stop it, come to the meetings, and don't give up because our kids will suffer in the end. Thank you.
Just the last thing I said before, because it's something I'm very passionate about and get worked up about a little bit. Because I expect nothing but the best from our staff, and our staff would never put together this application. Because if I submitted this to the Department of Education, they would send me a corrective action plan. So I'm going to put it on the district website so everyone can see it. It's a lot of reading, but It'll be there for your review. You can see what I can see and see the deficiency in this. But keep in mind when you get to the student code of conduct that it's written for an elementary school. And I always say that parents send us the best kids they have. They don't keep the good ones at home. And every day, I get to hear a story about something a student did in school. Whether it be minor or it be egregious, we are still stuck with the financial support of that child until they're 18 years old or 20. So whether it's something we just suspend a student, we give detention, we give counseling, or we send that student out of district because of behavioral issues, Old Bridge Township Public Schools, which are here for the sake of children, have to pay for that. So in the Code of Conduct, which is written for elementary school students, it states that on your second offense of hugging, you may be expelled. Where are they being expelled to? Back to Old Bridge Schools. It says on the third time you roll your eyes or suck your teeth, you will be expelled.
Are you serious?
Yes. Where are they being expelled to? Old Bridge Township Public Schools. So it's very nice to say, I'll take your money, I'll take your child until your child does something that I don't agree with, and then we're going to send them back. So we'll only have the best of the best kids here that we want to educate, and educate only the most educatable. It's egregious, and it's not what education was intended for. It's not for the elitist. It's not for the kids who want to be in school, only them, because if everyone could teach kids that just want to be there every day, it'd be an easy job. But not one person wearing red in this room signed up for an easy job. They signed up a job to educate children, and they educate all of them. Thank you.
Mr. President. A couple things real quick. Let me put this into perspective. All right, everyone's talking about a charter school and what it means to take money away from us. Just remember 2011 when we had the Christie cuts, where state funding was cut and this district went into total chaos. We were cut $5 million out of our budget, and we lost 60 to 70 teachers. We lost so many programs. It took us 6 to 7 years to dig ourselves out of that predicament, and we finally put a school district together which we all can be proud of. And I'm going to tell you this, I'm going to do everything in my power to work with the community to ensure that we put a stop to this charter school, because ultimately it's going to impact our children and programs. So if we want a repeat of 2011, this charter school goes forward, we will have that repeat. We will lose certificated staff, we will lose monies for our transportation, we will lose the programs that we have dear to our hearts. So I think it's in our best interest as a Board of Education, administration, the OBEA, the parents, the community, is to fight this until we win. Because you know what? If we lose, we're going to go back to 2010, 2011 with our programs, and that means less programs for our kids, larger class sizes, and we're going to have less money to do what's in the best interest of our children. So it's in your hands as parents, because if it does get approved, we need to put a stop to it by not making sure that kids don't go to that school. But you know what? Let's not even get to that point. Let's fight it together. I'm in the inner city every day. I'm in Newark every day. I'm in Irvington, East Orange. Those are failing schools. And I know board members on their boards of education, and they embrace charter schools because they want to do the good thing for their students. They want to give them the opportunities, but their schools are failing. Ours are excelling. Ours are in a position right now where we're very proud, and I think we all have to coalesce, come together, and fight it together. And I'm there. As long as you stand with me and Mr. Sedadino and this Board of Education, we will prevail and make sure that charter school goes down in flames.
Okay, in closing on this subject, obviously everybody up here is very passionate about this, as you are. I might be dating myself, but if you remember the old commercial, if you tell two friends and they tell two friends, and the 60,000 people in this town will know about it shortly. If we all work together, we can defeat this. As far as keeping up with information, I think everybody out there knows Mr. Sedadino is on Twitter. Most of us up here have unofficial, not sanctioned Board of Ed pages on Facebook, but we will share any information that we can share with the public. So it will be out there as soon as we know. And thank you all for coming. It's really important. Okay, moving on. Let's see, I forgot all about the regular meeting. Curriculum, professional development, items 1 through 6. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Donna, a second?
I'll second. Callie.
Joe. Okay, any discussion or questions? Mr. Rauer?
Dunn,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 6 pass.
Okay, athletics, items 1 through 3. Can I have a motion, please?
Dinoff will move athletics, items 1, 2, and 3.
Mr. Dinoff, in a second.
Single second.
Mr. Singh. Any discussion? Okay, roll call, Mr. Mara?
Dinoff, Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 3 pass.
Finance, items 1 through 9.
Dunn will move finance items 1 through 9, Mr. President.
Mr. Dunn, a second.
Andriani.
Questions or discussion? Anyone? No? Mr. Mara?
Ellis Foster,
Yes on all except number 6, I abstain.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Dinoff,
I'll abstain on item number 1, yes on the remainder.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 9 passed.
Okay, next item is non-certificated personnel, other, items 1 through 9. Can I have a motion, please?
Dinoff will move non-certificated personnel, other, items numbers 1 through 9.
Mr. Dinoff, in a second.
Callie will second.
Mrs. Cowley? Any discussion or questions? No? Seeing no discussion. Mr. Mara?
Reed,
Yes.
Singh, Andriani,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 9 passed.
Certificated personnel, items 1 through 12.
Dunn will move certificated personnel items 1 through 12, Mr. President.
Mr. Dunn, second.
Andriani.
Mrs. Andriani? Oh, okay. Where is that? Number 1. In Mr. Weber's absence, he's usually the unofficial retirement person. Move the board approve the retirement of the following staff members with deep appreciation for their years of dedicated service to the district. Gail Ford, I don't know if you're listening, but 37 years. Thank you so much for everything you've done for us, and may you enjoy the next step in your life. Any discussion or questions on this? Donna? Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Mara?
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani, Callie,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Reed, DePrima.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 12 pass.
Roman numeral 24, non-certificated personnel transportation, item 1. Can I have a resolution, please? Oh, I'm sorry, a motion?
I'll move it.
Dinoff will second.
Mrs. Foster and Mr. Dinoff. Any discussion? No? Mr. Mara, roll call?
Andriani,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Supplies, equipment, and services, item 1. Motion, please?
Dunn will move supplies, equipment, and services item 1, Mr. President.
Mr. Dunn, in a second.
Dinoff will second.
I think Jeff was first, Donna. Discussion? Mr. Mara?
Andriani,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
Transportation, items 1 and 2. Motion, please?
I'll make a motion.
Mrs. Cowley. And a second?
Second.
Mrs. Foster. Discussion, questions? Okay, Mr. Mara.
Callie,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 and 2 pass.
Okay, miscellaneous items 1 through 4. Can I have a motion, please?
Andriani will move.
Mrs. Andriani, and a second?
Dunn will second miscellaneous.
Discussion? Okay, Mr. Mara?
Dunn,
Yes.
Dinoff, Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolutions 1 through 4 pass.
Okay, next item is board secretary and board business. I'm not going to read it all, but this relates to what Mr. Cittadino said earlier about January being Board Recognition Month. I think I can speak for everybody up here. We don't come up, we're not doing this for kudos or pats on the back, but it is nice to be recognized. I'm sorry?
Is it not for the money?
Not for the money either. But it's nice, and I love my shirt, Mr. Cittadino. Thank you so much. That was a great little surprise. Okay, board secretary and board business, can I have a motion, please?
Oh, I'll move it.
Kelly, a second.
Dunn will second board secretary and board business.
Rich, discussion? Mr. Mara?
Dinoff,
Yes.
Ellis Foster,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Singh,
Yes.
Andriani,
Yes.
Callie,
Yes.
Dunn,
Yes.
DePrima.
Yes.
Resolution 1 passes.
I'm sorry, hearing of residents on any school district issue? Sure, please. Just press the button. Can you tell us your name, please?
Sure. Amber Miller, mother of 4. I'm here today to talk about a few topics related to special education, the first being our Old Bridge Parent Support Group. I am a mother of 4, and I run the ASD Autism Spectrum Disorder Parent Support Group. It was started 2 years ago by Melanie Minch-Class, and we meet monthly the hour before our monthly SEPTA meetings. And we have many members, and I just wanted to come today to talk about our support group, to let you know what we've been doing. Last year, we would meet for the hour before the SEPTA meetings and just have an open discussion about any problems we were having. But this year, I changed it to be more functional. I've chosen topics to discuss every support group meeting, ways to help our children succeed through extra therapies, understanding the IEPs, and just giving great tips to each other. I wanted to share with you that our support group's been very effective in helping a lot of our Old Bridge residents deal with the diagnosis of autism spectrum disorder, which can be devastating for a parent who just has a child who's turned 3 and newly diagnosed. And I just want to thank Ms. Minch-Class and Dr. Tui for their support. They've been so supportive for our support group, as well as Allison Vass, SEPTA president. She has been very accommodating in helping us to promote our support group online. And just new this year, we're now on the parent portal on a link right next to the SEPTA page, so you can find us on the parent portal for any families looking for extra support, as well as we have a online Facebook group that's a private group where we are able to share stories and offer suggestions to each other in a private setting. We also Ms. Vass emails all of the PTA presidents monthly, so she's able to share with all the school PTA presidents when our next meetings are, and so it's being promoted that way. We have thought about having a support group for older students, because our support group is for preschool through elementary school age, but the elementary school to preschool age, we have a lot of the similar struggles and issues. So as of right now, we've been trying to look for someone to run the support group for an older children, but we haven't been able to find anybody. And the second reason I'm here is I wanted to just bring out a topic about inclusion. Inclusion is a topic that you're going to be hearing a lot more about. In our support group, Stephanie Babbitts and Noelle Simonson run CPEG, and that is one of their main missions is to improve inclusion opportunities for our special education students in Old Bridge. Like Mr. Sinadino said, there's always room for improvement, and Ms. Minch-Class and Dr. Tui have been amazing at welcoming all of the parents with open arms to suggestions and letting us meet with them to voice our concerns and our suggestions for improving inclusion opportunities in our public schools. Inclusion opportunities do exist, but us parents, there's many of us who are just looking to help improve the ways inclusion happens in our schools. I wanted to just ask you all, to yourself, to ask yourself a couple questions. The first being, what does inclusion mean to you? And the second being, what environment is determined to be an inclusion environment? Is it playing at recess for a special needs child? Is it walking down the hall? Is it having a special needs classroom visit a typical gen ed classroom setting? Those are the questions that we are trying to dissect with administration and help improve. I'd also like for you to think about the question, what determines which children will benefit from inclusion? All children. It's the law. For special education children, inclusion opportunities need to exist for all children. And I just want to share a personal story with you. It's very positive. My oldest son is 6, and he goes to Voorhees, and the principal there, Mrs. Lowry, has been very, very accommodating with great ideas and opportunities that they're working on to help improve inclusion opportunities for my son in his classroom and the kindergarten classroom there. Things are in the works, and she's been so generous as to meet with myself, another mother, and Miss Minch-Class. We just met last week. We have another meeting in March. We had one previously in November. And I'm just very thankful that Mrs. Lowry, the principal of Voorhees, has been so open and welcoming to parents' suggestions on how to improve inclusion for the special education population, because it's very important, because all of our children want is to be included. And as a parent of a child, I have 4 children, and 3 have diagnoses of autism, 2 specifically. And with my 4 children being in 2 different types of class settings, it's very important for me to make sure that each of my children gets the same opportunities to interact with typical peers. And that's all. I just wanted to say thank you very much to the board for all of your support with special education. The parents definitely support it. And I have, in our support group, we have a lot of parents that really, we talk about the board all the time. I want you to know that a lot of our parents really want to get out to a board meeting, but we're just unable to. Therapy sometimes extends till 7 o'clock at night, babysitters, and I know that we do a lot of extra work with our kids on the side, so sometimes it prevents us from getting to a board meeting, but we are always talking about you, looking you up online on the website, so thank you.
Thank you. I think somebody said it earlier, our special needs programs here are second to none in Old Bridge, and we're very proud of that. We will continue to keep them that way. Anybody else? Hearing of residents on any school district item? No? Okay. Old business, anybody? Mr. Singh? Anything? Mr. Reed? Okay, old or new business, let's put it that way.
Yes, Mr. DePrima, I just have a question. Would it be possible for the board to include a resolution on a future agenda denouncing the need for a charter school in Old Bridge, and also include all of the outstanding highlights Mr. Cittadino reviewed in his presentation, as we did in the past for a similar school?
There's actually, Mr. Dinoff, there's a resolution moving around Middlesex County that was started in Highland Park, asking to stop the proliferation of charter schools as a statewide phenomenon and as a Middlesex County spike, which it is currently. So that might be something that you want to get in touch with the Highland Park Administration to get a copy of. But yes, you can certainly,
I just,
legally you can do that if it's the
received it
pleasure
like
of the board.
yesterday. Can we put it on the 7th for action? So it'll be prior to the determination?
Sure.
Great, yeah, I think it's a great way to send a powerful message from the board.
Kelly?
I think you heard enough from me. Don't ever enough?
Okay, going to the other one?
I do. Just as I'm closing out my own business as last term's president, there are 2 outstanding issues that I have not gotten an update on. And we don't need to use any more board time for that. But Mr. Cittadino, I respectfully ask if I could have an update on the issue with the photograph and the internet, and an issue on the parental issue with the textbooks. So if I could at some time get an update so I can close out my own, my board business as president, I appreciate it. Thank you.
I know they've all gone home to do homework or even go to bed at this point, but I just wanted to congratulate our new Eagle Scouts once again, and I wanted to thank Mr. Cittadino and Dr. Hoker for our T-shirts. It's an honor to be part of the Dream Team.
Mr. Dunn?
Ditto. I'm very happy with our administrators. They do a fabulous job, and I know their heart's in the right place, and the results are showing. And I'm very proud of our 6 Eagle Scouts in this town. It just reinforces our national school character. It just is just a wonderful place, and we need to fight together to keep it that way, because funding is everything to us. And as long as we have the funds, we will give those programs and we will get results. And welcome, Mr. Reed. You're welcome.
Okay, as most of you probably figured out, if you didn't know, this is my first meeting as president. It was a great meeting. I love seeing the support out there and the care. Like I said earlier, the 12 people up here are committed, and I know you are too, and we'll take care of this one way or another. I guess that's it for me. Thank you, everyone. Have a great night. Motion to go in, no closed session. Motion to adjourn.
Then we'll make a motion to adjourn.
Donoff will second.
Rich and Jeff. Mr. Mara?
All ayes, raise your hand.
Aye.
Okay, we're good. We're adjourned.
Thank you, everyone. Have a great night.
Hi.
My ears perk up.
It was just